Good morning, all. We'll continue our discussion on concurrency control and recovery. In the past lecture, we have seen how the concurrency can be controlled with the help of four different protocols. That is log-based protocol, two-phase locking protocol, validation-based protocol, and timestamp protocol. But still, as per our experience, it try to avoid maximum conflict and maximum failures, but still in databases failure happens. Then how these failures can be managed, that we are going to see in this lecture. So now we are going to see about the failures and the recovery from that. Okay, so we'll see what types of failures may happen because of this concurrent execution, and not necessarily the concurrent execution. It is of course possible that um, single transaction may also get failed, and may need to be the database may need to be recovered. So yes, what are the types of different failures which we may face? So first is the transaction failure. The transaction may fail, as we have seen the states of transaction as initial stage, then abort stage, then commit stage, partially committed stage, active stage. All these stages are there. In any phase or at any stage, the transaction may fail. Okay, so that may happen. Multiple transactions may also fail. That means the transaction which is initiated doesn't reach to the commit state. That is a transaction failure. There may be probable reasons behind these things, like there may be logical errors. The transaction may not be written properly. The code is incorrect, because of which the transaction may fail, may not execute properly, and we compulsorily have to abort the transaction. Second, there may be system error. The transaction may be written properly, but there are some system constraints which may be imposed, and because of which the transaction must have failed. So the system error is also a possibility of failure of transaction. Uh, there may be a system crash directly. So there may be a system crash. This is an external issue. There may be a power failure. There may be a hardware failure. There may be uh, 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 physical damage done to the system. Yes, there are possibilities, several possibilities of the system crash, which are the external causes of the system, and probably we may not be able to guess it, or maybe may not be able to control it. So system crash may happen. So that is also a kind of failure which we may face for the database. Uh, Disk failure, everything is operating properly, the transaction is also executed properly without any errors, without any failure, but while committing the transaction we need to write everything back to the disk. All the updations which I have made, we need to write it back to the disk. So there may be a failure at the disk end. Nowadays, yes, there is a lot of technological advancements are there. A very good hardware is available, very fast and rapid disks are available, very different kind of rapid storage devices are available. But yes, that is also, that may also lead to a failure. Or the older days, the disk drives or drums which we are using were used to fail frequently. So there was a possibility of disk or storage failure also. So failure can be of different types and at different levels. As transaction failure may be at the user end, but system crashes and disk crashes are absolutely beyond the control of the user or the database administrator. Okay, so we need to take care or understand that the failure may happen, and that may or may not be in the control of the user. What is there in the control of the user is, if failure happens, the changes are not done properly, the transaction is not executed properly at that time. If the changes are made, those need to be rolled back, those need to be reverted, so that it will not make partial changes in the system. Okay, that is in our hand. So basically, failure leads to some damage to the system, and our job is to have a recovery for that purpose. We need to have a proper recovery mechanism, so that if some changes are done by that transaction and which has failed, those can be rolled back, those can be corrected, that damage can be cured. So that's why failure is not under our control, but definitely recovery mechanism we can definitely manage. Basically, your recovery, what it says is, if you remember the acid properties of transaction: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So we need to, first of all, what is atomicity? Atomicity states that if a transaction is executed, all the changes made by it must be reflected, or no changes, no changes should be reflected. So either all or none is the property of atomicity. And if all the changes are made, those must be durable. So in recovery, we take care that the atomicity of the transaction must be maintained. That means if a transaction is under execution and it has made some changes, all the changes must be reflected on the disk, on the in the database finally, or no changes because of that must be uh, reflected. Okay, so either all or none. And why we are bothered about it, or why we need to take care of this failure and all? Because see, we are talking about databases, and in databases we are not talking about database management system. We are not talking about small amount of data to be maintained. We are going to deal with a huge amount of data, and that data is possibly stored not in the primary memory, but on the very huge secondary memory. Very large number of disks may be used for storing the data. So uh, transacting the data, making the changes, reflecting it to the primary memory or buffer, and then writing it finally to the secondary memory or device is a long time of execution it takes. And at any point of time, that failure may happen. What we are bothered about, whatever changes a transaction which is initiated at the CPU level must be reflected completely and correctly in the secondary device. That is our aim of execution of transaction. Okay, that's why we are talking about atomicity of a transaction. And not only atomicity, of course, consistency and durability, isolation is there, that care we are already taken, but it should, the changes which are made must be durable and must be final, or must persist for the longer time till it doesn't change doesn't get changed by some other transaction. Okay, so recovery is meant to maintain this atomicity and durability. So when a data DBMS recovers from a crash, it should maintain the following. What it should maintain? It should check the states of all the transactions, okay, which are being executed. If a system crashed and there are 5-7 transactions are under execution, it must check what is the status of that transaction. If the transaction is in the middle of some operation, the data must ensure the atomicity of the transaction in that case. So if the system is crashed and at that time some transaction was in between its execution, all its changes which are made by it must be reverted or rolled back. Or it should check whether the transaction is completed and does it need to be rolled back. Complete हुआ मतलब whether it is a partially committed state or completely in a committed state, that we'll have to check. Okay, so if it is committed state, then there is no need of rollback, but even if it is partially committed state, we need to roll it back. Okay, so of course all changes are made, but it is partially committed, then we need to roll it back. That care also we need to take. And a very best example is many a times your transaction fails and money is deducted when you purchase something. Your transaction fails, money sometimes is deducted from your account, but within few minutes that is rolled back, that is again deposited or credited to your account. That's a very usual or regular example of this transaction and transaction failure and its recovery. Okay, even if some changes have happened that need to be, we must be able to recover it back, and no transaction would be allowed to leave the DBMS in an inconsistent state. So we will not keep the database is in inconsistent state. Either it should be in the first consistent state or it should be in the second consistent state. It should not be left in the inconsistent state. Okay, so it's more of a theory, but a concept must be understood of this. So there are two possibilities. How can we see? Again, I am not we are not putting any efforts towards the system should not be failed. There should not be failure. Failure will be there. Failure is unavoidable. It is beyond our control. So what is in our control is recovery. So we are talking about recovery. So there are two ways with which we can deal with this recovery part. Is either you maintain a log of each transaction. You maintain the log of each transaction so that it will be uh, easy for us to roll back or track the changes which are made by that transaction. Or second thing is, don't make any changes in the actual file, but maintain a shadow file or a shadow page where we are going to make all the changes, and once we are sure with all the aspects, then only we are going to reflect it. So there are two methods with which we can go for the transaction. So we'll see what all recovery techniques we can make use of. It is a little elaborative. Uh, that's what whatever we have discussed right now. That the system may get failed because of system crash, transaction error, sometimes viruses, sometime some catastrophic failures or incorrect commands which we execute. Okay, so there may be number of things which can lead to a failure of a system, and what we need to take care is the effect or changes made by the data by the transaction must be reflected correctly and fully. So what can we do here is there are two methods or two or three approaches where we can uh, uh, take up the things, like either you defer the changes or defer the updates, means you let all the transactions get executed properly, keep their record, keep their record, keep their logs, and finally at a particular moment all the updates are reflected. At that time no transaction will be in execution. Okay, so are you understanding? Deferred update, delay the update. Let every transaction which is operating on that database for a day, for an hour, for 24 hours, whatever time span is there, let every transaction work, and finally make the updates at the end, and that at that moment there will be no transaction under execution. So this is one of the very simple approach which we can go for uh, recovery. We can go for recovery. Second is go for immediate update. As and when the transactions are making the changes, go on reflecting it immediately so that there will be no conflict, no need to recovery, there will be lesser chance of failure, or even if failure is there, there will be lesser chance of damage. As and when the transaction is taking the uh, execution, taking up the changes, go on reflecting them simultaneously. This is immediate update. Both are correct techniques. Depending on the application, we can take up some issues. Like if railway reservation is there and there are parallel allocations are done, it's better to make the changes immediately. Whereas if it is a what we can say a simple banking transaction, like in banking, at the end of day, all the transactions will be scheduled, all the transactions will be executed or finalized. Okay, so both kind of updates are in use and also depend on the what we can say the application type of application that a database is being used for. Or backing up the data is a very simple technique. Go on taking the backup after every regular time interval, maybe after 24 hours, maybe after 6 hours, maybe after a week or a month. Go on backing up the data depending on your need or depending on the data which you want to be backtracked. So after every 24 hours, back up the entire data. So even if some damage happens, you are going to lose the data only for past 24 hours. Rest data will be backed up. Rest data is already uh, uh, stored at some, the copy of that original data is stored somewhere. So backing up the data. So these are the random techniques with which we can do the recovery. With which we can do the recovery. But all these techniques, all these techniques are heavily or prominently dependent on the special file which is called as a system log. This system log contains the information about every transaction and any update which will occur because of that transaction. Okay, even if you are deferring the update, you need to keep the log. Referring to the log only, you are going to update them finally. Similarly, immediate update or backing up data also, we need to keep the log. When that data was backed up, what was the time, what was the size, all these things. Okay, so it heavily depends on the log file, system log file. Okay, it keeps track of all the transactions. So of course I need not to explain this in very detail, but a log also takes care of that when the transaction was initiated, when the transaction has read some item, when the transaction has returned some item. If it has returned some item, then which transaction, what was the old value, what was the new value, and probably what was the time at that at which that was modified. Okay, or if some transaction is committed, at what time that was committed, at what time it was aborted. All these things we'll have to take care. Okay, so all these log we'll have to maintain, and also we'll have to maintain a checkpoint. Okay, checkpoint is what we can say, uh, checkpoint will be a time at that moment your um, previous log will be cleared. Okay, so a point till that all the changes of all the updates will be finalized and previous log will be uh, vanished or will be cleared, so that the next log can be accommodated, because log is a system log is a huge file and continuous that log is maintained. Okay, so with the log file we also need to maintain a checkpoint. So till that point, we'll have all the checkpoint is a point before which all entire log is clear, and till that point we have finalized all the changes. Okay, log after that will be, so it is up to you. You want to maintain a log of 24 hours, a week, or month? That is up to you. Okay, the same thing which we have discussed now. And once committed, the data that's what it cannot be rolled back. It should be, in some cases we also take a provision, keep a provision of rolling back the committed data also, but it is very crucial task, and uh, it takes a lot of efforts to do that, but still we maintain the log for that. But otherwise, if the data is committed, the changes are durable, changes are permanent in the database. So that's what log will do. This the things which I have already discussed, that undoing the things, mostly we are going to undo the write operation. That's why in the log we are maintaining the older value and new value, so that the old we can undo the change which is made to the particular data item in the database. So undoing is maintained because of this uh, log. And also redoing is also maintained in case of deferred update, where we are finalizing all the updates at the end of day. There we are actually redoing all the changes. So we are going to maintain the log of all the operations which are maintained, and the same operations are again performed at the time of deferred update at the end of day. So redo operation is also uh, maintained because of that log file which we are maintained. Of course, immediate update, we go on making the changes, but let us say that I have booked the ticket. The ticket is the transaction is in process. The seat is being allotted to me, and at a very final moment of payment, I have aborted the transaction. So at that time, the allocated seat was updated, but it will be immediately reported. Because how? Because we have the log which changes we have made, and best technique is to cache or buffer. Maintain all the changes in the buffer. DBMS cache is a special type of buffer which is provided in the database management system uh, scenario or in the architecture, where that cache maintains all the changes. That's a cache means ultimately a buffer, cache file or cache memory, what we sometimes call as. That is that to keep up the pace with the CPU, but all the temporary changes are maintained into that. So maintain a memory buffer or memory DBMS cache where all the changes will be kept, will be made, and uh, all the changes will be reflected later at the end. So this buffer will be helpful to keep the log for us. So caching and buffering is little resourceful, or over resource consumption is there, but still it is also in use in few cases. This is a very good, very reliable solution, but has a very big overhead for us. This provides atomicity. This surely provides your durability also, where we are maintaining a directory, where we are maintaining a directory which will have entries or index entries of the informations which are present in the database. Let us say that ith entry point will point to the ith database page. Okay. Whenever we come to know that there is a change happening in ith page, a duplicate page, a shadow page will be created. A shadow page will be created, that is a duplicate or a copy of that database page will be created. All the changes will be made in that, and later all the changes will be made in that, and once the changes are finalized, are committed, are assumed to be durable, that time this pointer will be this shadow page will be replacing the original page. Are you understanding me? This will be that means the ith entry point will point to this shadow page now, and shadow page will become the original page. Okay, this is a most sure and trustworthy recovery technique, where original data is not damaged and all the changes are made in the shadow page. Once we are sure that all the changes are reflected properly, this shadow page becomes the original page, and the previous page is either discarded or kept in the backup. Okay, but of course, overhead of creating a shadow page, maintaining a directory, the pointers, maintaining two copies of it, and all are there. The it is tedious, but the best technique. Okay, so shadow paging is also many a times used when the data is very crucial, very critical, and very important. Okay, at that time the shadow paging technique is used. So that's what the log based recovery we have already seen. This is just a description of the same log based recovery. The log is kept in the stable storage media. We need to keep it in the stable one, uh, because that is a we are relying on that for recovery purpose. We are relying on that, so that should be safe. If it is misleading, then all the changes will be misled, and you are going to get the wrong information. Okay. And as I said, the checkpoint mechanism, checkpoint in previous case I said that the log before the checkpoint will be cleared completely, and after that will be kept. But here we are using the concept of checkpoint in a little different aspect, in which we are having, let us say that a group of transaction, concurrent transaction is being executed from time unit 1 to time unit 20. So we may have a checkpoint of after every 5 time units. Let us say that from 0 or 1 it starts, then at 5, then at 10, at 15 and 20. There will be checkpoints in between these start time and end time. Okay, there will be checkpoints, so that even if something bad happens, let us say that 18th time unit, we need not to roll back to the first time unit. We can just roll back till 15th one, because till 15th all the changes which are made by the transaction are assumed in the shadow page or in the log, are finalized in the log or in the shadow page, and on rollback will be only till the 15th point unit. Okay, so all the transactions which are finished before 15th checkpoint at 15th time unit, all will be untouched, will not be rolled back. Only from 15 point to 20th time unit the changes will be made. So checkpointing is means rather we are creating intermediate consistent states. We have one consistent state, we have a second consistent state, and we are creating intermediate consistent states. Of course, if all the transactions are not committed properly, we need to roll back the whole thing till the first time unit. But in most of the cases, we'll be saving the rollback time, rollback changes. Let us say that out of 5 transactions till 15 time unit, 4 transactions are already over. Then we need to bother about only 5th transaction, which is still under execution. Okay, so that way checkpointing is done. There is a diagram which will make the thing you better understand. Here you can find that the checkpoint is appearing at this moment, and you can find that uh, transaction T1 is complete at this checkpoint. Okay, transaction T2 and T3 are still under execution, and T4 and T5 are not yet initiated. So if some failure happens at this particular moment, let us say that at this moment some failure happens, at this moment I have T1 complete. Even though the changes are not reflected, I need not to really bother about T1, T4, T1 and T4 in this, T4 and T1 and T5. Okay, under execution will be T2, T3 and T4. Only 3 will be under execution, so we need to roll back or consider only these 3, because T1 is already over and T5 has not yet started. Or even I am talking about the failure at this particular moment where it is marked at this moment T4 is complete, T2 is complete and T1 is complete. So even if failure happens at this moment, 3 transactions have already in the partially committed state or probably in the committed state. So we need not to bother about these. We'll then bother about only T3 and T5. So we have a botheration of rollbacking only T3 and T5. So here it is written undo only T3 T5 and redo T2 and T4. Okay, the changes means in the log we can do. So this way the transaction, the same explanation is given here. So in this way we have seen what is transaction, what are its properties, what are how the concurrent transactions are handled, how the serial schedules are created, how the concurrency control mechanism, that is log based, two-phase locking, validation protocol, validation based protocol and timestamp based protocol helps us to prepare or maintain the serializability of the schedule or maintain the serial order of the schedule or the transactions and get the changes properly done is we have seen. But unavoidably, if the failure happens, what are the different methods or techniques of recovery we can use, that we have seen. Okay, so this all from my side. Thank you very much.